Welcome to my theater teacher resource video, a beginner's guide to set design. This is an example lesson for my technical theater set design Tech 1 unit.
This preview offers the same high-quality content as my paid lessons. The only difference is that the full versions include both digital and physical interactive notebooks, and the intro and outro of these videos have been removed for a more streamlined student experience.
I also have a full Tech 2 set design and construction unit that includes editable slides and a student workbook.
Both are linked below. Now on to the lesson.
Set design and construction, the designer's job, researching and designing the world of the play. If you're taking notes, make sure you write down the text in front of these note paper graphics. Don't write this one down. This is just an example, so it's in front of these graphics. And if you're using the digital interactive notebook, there's the video linked right here that you can minimize up in the corner, and then you would type your notes in the boxes appropriate with the different slides. And if you have the physical interactive notebook, I recommend that you write down all of the notes before you cut this out and glue it into your page so that the binding doesn't get in the way and the papers don't move too much on you. So first take the notes and then put it in your book. This way you'll have the information as we move down through the designing process, and you'll be able to reference it. All right, visualizing the world. First thing to consider is the time period and location. And here's that note paper graphic. So this is one of the notes you would write down. I won't remind you every time, but I just want to point it out on this first one. The when and where the show is taking place. This will really affect the overall look of your play. I'm going to move on, but if you need to pause to finish writing the note, feel free, or also you can come back if you need to. So time period and location. This is not always clear. Sometimes the play does not tell you the time period. You need to look for clues in the script. That will help you choose what time period the show will be in. So if it does not tell you exactly when the show is happening, like the 1800s, or this is from the 1920s, you'll want to look for context clues. So clues in the play that let you know what you need to do and where you can have it take place. You don't always have to have it take place in the time period that is suggested. For example, Elizabethan time period, so Shakespeare time, we could do Romeo and Juliet set in Elizabethan time, but we could also make it happen in a modern day high school. You just need to remember what kind of things would change and what you need to do to make that look and feel time period appropriate. We'll briefly look at some pictures from a few different eras. Keep in mind that many more exist across different eras and locations. So this is just the beginning pictures of eras, the beginning pictures from America. There's a lot of different locations, but the 60s in America look very different than the 60s in Africa and the 60s in England. So just know that there are so many different eras to keep an eye out for that you could use in future projects. So write down the details for each era and what show you think these styles would work for. Here's this first one, the Elizabethan look. It's the tutor style. Era is the 1500s. Materials, straw, wood, sticks, clay. It is very dependent on the class, so how much money and what class the people are a part of. So the details are earthy tones, shown in the picture, brown wood, off-white plaster, and gray stone. Defining characteristics of the architecture, specifically half timbering and gabled roofs, like you see above. And then take a moment to write down what type of shows would work for this type of a play. I will give you guys 15 seconds. All right, here we go. And feel free to pause again if you need to. Victorian or Gothic time period. So it's ornate and heavy. The era is the 1830s to the 1900s. Materials were dark wood, mahogany, walnut, heavy velvet, marble tops. Details were carved claw and ball feet. That's where there's like a claw or an animal foot around a ball for furniture. Ornate scrolls and high backs on their chairs and things of that nature. The tech challenge with these pieces are that they are heavy and hard to move. During quick change scenes, they can really get in the way. And I'll give you 15 seconds again to look at this picture and write down some shows that you could use this style for. All right, here we go. Next up is the Art Deco. Geometric shift is what we call that. It's the era of the 1920s to 1940s. Materials are chrome, glass, lacquer, and exotic veneers. So veneers are something that goes in front of something to make it look shiny or to make it look new or fancy. So if you look up here at these little caps right there, oftentimes those are veneers. So would this be? It's just to put on the outside of the actual material that the elevator is made of so that it looks like it's metal even when it is not. So the details are symmetry, so equal on both sides, looking for zigzags, starbursts, which is up here in the ceiling, and streamlined curves. For example, this furniture that has this streamlined curve. Tech challenges. High gloss finishes show every fingerprint and scratch under stage lights. So you a lot of times have to go through and really polish it up and make it look good every single night. Now we're going to do another 15 seconds to write down shows that this will work for. Now up is mid-century, function over form. The 1950s to the 1970s, materials are teak, plastic, plywood, and steel wire. The details are tapered peg legs that come down at a taper, organic curves, and pops of bright color in different places. So curves that look organic, this up here that just kind of pulls down with the weight, the pop of green over here. The tech challenge is these pieces, the furniture pieces, are leggy and thin, and they can snap more easily, especially if you have actors that need to jump on a piece of furniture. We will really need to reinforce the legs. All right, 15 seconds to write down different shows that this would work for. And industrial. So it's contemporary, it's 1990s to present. Materials are raw metals, reclaimed wood, I-beams, and concrete. So the I-beam is the beam that comes up like this that's thin on the inside and then looks like an eye if you were looking at it straight on, but these parts are thicker. Details are exposed hardware, distressed finishes, and minimalism. So up here, you would distress this and making things just look worn in. Tech challenge, making new wood look like reclaimed wood using scenic painting. So up here, like I just showed, this darker parts, we would be able to use paint and different techniques of airbrushing or things of that nature to get that darker look. So it looks like the smoke has been billowing out of this chimney for years, even though it's a brand new piece of wood. Take 15 more seconds to decide what shows you would use for this scene. So don't forget the furniture. Furniture also acts as a time machine. Every time period has a specific profile. Look at the legs. They usually will tell you the century they're from. So there we've got our claw-like legs. Here's our tapered legs, straight legs, metallic legs with geometric shapes. Make sure that your furniture fits your room. Style the world. Style is the personality of the production. So arched or square windows, have very different looks, sharp or soft corners, deep, light, or vibrant colors. So deep would be like those magenta or darker colors. Light would be pastels, and vibrant would be more true colors like Barbie pink, bright orange. What are you going for? You could also go neon. There's so many other options you could do. So when you style your world, you've got the atmosphere and the mood that you're trying to create. Create these by working with your director and the other designers in the show. So you've got your director's concept right here, so director's show concept, and then it points down to set designer's concept. You want to make sure your concept, your idea of the show fits within the director's show. Because if you are wanting to do a modern day Romeo and Juliet, but they are planning on doing a Elizabethan time Romeo and Juliet, it would really contrast and it wouldn't work for the overall look of the show. So we've got our color palette. 3 dominant colors that define tones and reflect the emotions of the show. So here is the color palette that I have chosen. And then this set design has tapered legs, has some organic curves. It is very mid-century modern. However, I have chosen to do a lot of vibrant colors because the character that I did this set design for is very quirky and different and kind of stands out in a fun way from the other characters in the show. One thing to make sure to note when you are working within your color palette is this is where you really want to work with your costume designer and make sure you are using similar colors or contrasting colors depending on the purpose of your design. So if you choose to do a yellowish couch like I have right here, and the costume designer has chosen to put them in a yellow dress and they sit on this couch for some of the show, they'll sink in to the couch and it won't look very good. It won't pop them out and make them stand out. It'll actually bring them into the scene, even though you've both chosen vibrant colors, you've chosen the same color. So then they would maybe want to work within this color palette, or you would work within this color palette in a different way. So maybe she'd be in a purple dress, or maybe this would be purple so that she would stand out. So that's just a really important note with when working with color palettes, to make sure that you are working with your costume designer. Also, things like texture of fabric really can make a big difference, especially when you're working with your costume designer. So just pay attention to that. So your color palette. Does your palette convey natural? So over here is more natural colors. Urban type of style and colors. These are deeper right here. Warmth. So these are the same colors as are over here, but do you see how much brighter and how different it feels right here? Then we've got contrast colors. So you'll have certain actors in specific colors that contrast the main actors so that it looks very different. We do this in a ton of shows like Ursula and the Little Mermaid, very different color palettes. As we go through these different color palettes, write down the shows and characters these designs would work for. To create the mood, work directly with the lighting designer. So the lighting designer really has a ton to do with the mood of the show, as do you as the set designer. Just like you worked with the costume designer to create the character feel for the room and the costume so that it works together. Really, it's best to meet all three of you, lights, costumes, and set together, because the lights change how set pieces look. They also do that to costumes because it depends on the fabric and materials you are using. Shiny fabrics will reflect back a lot of light. If you're using velvets and deeper fabrics, you need more light because it absorbs a lot of light. So you just want to make sure everyone is on the same page. So I will point out how the lights change the set pieces over the next few slides. As we go through these slides, write down the shows and characters that you think this design would work for. So this is the first color palette. So you can see that the color palette is right over here. Here we have a white, a burgundy, a tan color, a Barbie pink, and a little bit more of a muted pink, toned down pink. So this room has a lot of bright light coming in from this side of the window and has some lights even hung up on the walls over here and coming down. There's even candle lights that aren't turned on at the top. So that will affect the feeling and mood of the show. So write down the shows you could see this room working for and the characters that this could be their bedroom. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, but if you need more time, feel free to pause. All right, so now we're going to go on to color palette 2. Feel free to pause if you need more time. So here's our second color palette. We have these greens, orange, turquoise, yellow, and purple colors. They're not true to their fullest amount and brightness of color. Just note that they are toned down just a little bit. I'd say they added a teeny bit of grays into there just to mute down those colors a bit. And then here is our set design. So write down the show this could work for and the characters that you could see them having a house like this. I will give you another 30 seconds, but really quickly note that how the lighting is coming in, it's still a very bright place, but not quite as bright as that first one. On to number 3. So here we have our third color palette. So there's white, a pumpkin orange color right over here, this burgundy brown color. We've got like a burnt orange and a very light gray. So here is the room you're going to be looking at. Pay attention to the lights. They're coming in a little bit dimly and creating some really awesome shadows. When you're talking to your lighting designer, if this is the mood or effect you're wanting, then you're going to actually want lights up here coming through the windows aimed down so that it creates that fun casting of light. And then this lighting fixture right up there. Another 30 seconds to say the shows and characters that you would see for this show. All right, on to number 4, 2 more to go. So here, this is more of a bright picture again, a lot of lights seemingly kind of from the front and above. The color palette is light gray, a light turquoise, a darker turquoise, this very dull mustard yellow orangey color, and this dark charcoal type gray for some of the accents. So what are the characters, or what is the shows and characters that you can see this scene in? And on to our last one. So here's color palette number 5. Look at how this light is falling and where the light is. We've got a light purple, this dusty turquoise, a yellowish orange color, a green, and then this burnt orange right over here. So go ahead and look at this picture, and you have 30 seconds left to write down the shows and the costumes, and then we'll move on to the next theme. So if you didn't have time for any of those, feel free to go back or go back at the end. All right, here we go with some textures. How the material feels or looks like it feels, because a lot of times we paint the texture onto the piece to save money. So is it smooth, peeling, polished, rough? This is all important stuff to think of as a set designer, especially for your mood board. You want to reflect feel and the texture of the pieces. Something to think about. Materials. Things cost money. Watch your budget, especially if you're doing really heavy pieces, a heavy set, murder mysteries, a lot of that type of thing. You want to make sure that you're watching your budget, because things can get expensive very quickly, especially wood and materials like that. So we've talked about time period and we've talked about style. It's all on a scale. So you've got your historic side, your time period right over here, and then your style over here. Each play that you do is going to be different. So like I showed you in that one that was very bright colors, but it was still mid-century modern look to the furniture. It would have been more stylized. If you're going very classic, you'll be more historic. Just know that you do have room to play on that scale. The goal is to create a set that looks historically grounded, but not generic. We don't want it to just be one of many. We want it to have our personality. Mood board, help others see it. A cohesive collage of pictures that help others understand your vision. So there are two different assignments right here. For your mood board, make sure you show the architecture, textures, colors, and mood of your scene. Take your ideas from your head and put them on the page. This first one is more guided to show you what to look like. And what I mean for that is I put down your colors should go in this box, your walls, the floor, the candles, different things that you need for each of those for the digital and interactive notebook. If you are doing the digital interactive notebook, you'll be able to find pictures online. For the physical interactive notebook, you can color them. You can find some online and print them off if you have a color printer at home, or you can grab a magazine and things like that and look for that. So this is the design for your mood boards, and then you get very specific. So here's the colors I chose to use, the picture for the walls. I did this from pictures, so that's why they look like this. Floors, doors, table and chairs, candles, curtains, windows, and you see they've got the arch in the windows. That's very specific, and place settings right there. I want you to have your own personality. Don't just do what I did, make it your own. So when you're doing this professionally or for your school plays, before you move on to the next task that we will be doing later, make sure you show your mood boards to the rest of the production team. Compare it to other designers' visions. Also, make sure that it matches the director's vision. This kind of helps us in moving forward so that we don't waste a lot of time, money, and resources. So our assignment. I have provided a script, or maybe your teacher will have a different script depending on what they were hoping that you would do. If you've got a class play coming up that you're designing for, they'll probably have that script available for you. So you're going to read the script and highlight the script where you find clues of what to put in the set design. If you are highlighting the script that I have in the digital interactive notebook, just know I did make it so that you could click on it right here and drag it over, and you could choose to highlight the text on that top Google Slides highlighting area. And then this one, you would use a colored pencil or a highlighter if you have that to highlight the interactive notebook inside of your books. Now it's time to get to work. You're going to read that script and then do the assignment in your digital interactive notebook or interactive notebook. If you get confused, feel free to go back through this video and refer to any part of it that you need to.
Teachers, because of requests, I am also working on taking all of my lessons for my interactive notebooks and putting them into normal worksheet format. Please help support me by checking out the link to my growing Technical Theater Teachers paid teachers shop. Please like and share so I can continue making content.